Ciao amici e benvenuti nella Peso sulla Luna. Hello friends, if this is your first time here, welcome. Thank you for coming. I'm pleased to meet you. If you've been here before, thank you for returning. I'm truly honored. Now friends, if you are a returning visitor, my attempt at an Italian introduction to this video probably tipped you off that this is my response video to my larger spread of the week. Yeah? Every week I do a larger spread, and I'm in the middle of my deep dive into the Lenormand system. And so the larger spread is a Lenormand based spread. And I've done that reading. And so now I, every week, ask, what is the central message of the last Lenormand spread? And I lay out a spread. And in the past, I've been doing only Terre de Marseille adjacent, and antique Italian decks. But since I've been focusing on Lenormand, I'm adding other systems into this response video series. So I will do those three things, as well as Smith-Waite decks, Thoth-based decks, the Harris-Crowley-based decks, and the Continental Tarot. So I've got a 6-week cycle that I go through. And right now we're on the antique Italian decks part of the cycle. Yes? Now, friends, I'll talk about the deck and I should say the decks, because there are 2 decks being used for this petite spread. And I'll talk about them in just a moment. But first, let me remind you that it's always best to go and watch the first video of the week before coming and watching this one. Why? Because this video, as described in the question that I just asked for you, is a response to that one. So if you haven't seen that larger video, this response to this question might not make as much sense. So what I will do is I'll put a card up here for you to be able to click on, hop on over, watch that video if you haven't yet, and then come back here. Yeah, and remember, you don't have to watch any of these videos in one continuous sitting, right? You can watch them in bits and pieces. And just in case you have watched that video in bits and pieces and you want a little bit of a refresher, remember I titled that video At Face Value. And that was because right now we're being called to do some investigation. Because what we are looking at and what we're experiencing is not the fullness of truth is not presenting itself as the fullness of truth. That's what I'm trying to say. It's not presenting itself as the fullness of truth. So we shouldn't judge what we're feeling or what we're experiencing by the way it appears. Investigation is being called for. Yeah? And that investigation will include both looking within and looking outside. Getting a broader perspective from above, and also diving deep within our hearts. Yeah? And so we're responding to that spread. And the 3 cards below from the Tarot deck gave us, I think, some very hopeful, positive advice. So it felt like it was a little bit of an uncomfortable spread at first. Hearts, emotions being tarnished, something or some things not being fully presented in their truth. Remembering that the truth might actually be better than what is being presented. Or it might not be as good. And so we want to investigate with an open mind. We don't want to go in and look for the problems. We want to go in and investigate, find the truth. Yes? So that's what we're responding to. And so we've got a fairly small spread, even for me, in these response videos. We've got a fairly small spread to look at. So what I will do now, before we look at the spread, is I'd like to say a couple of things. It almost slipped my mind. First, and how could this slip my mind? I want to thank you I want to thank you for doing all those things that you do. I want to thank you for hitting the thumbs up button. I want to thank you for subscribing to the channel and for commenting below, because all of those things that you do help other people find the channel, help other people find our community. And so I'm grateful for you for doing that. And also, I think the QR code for my online web shop, my online shop, is working fine. So I'll put that code up here again. So just in case you're watching this video on a device other than your phone, you can scan that QR code with your phone and go take a look at my shop, see what's being offered there, and if you want, order a reading from me. Yes, me. Also, just in case you are watching this on your phone and you can't really scan that QR code easily, my website address is very easy. It's derekjohnthomas.com. Just enter that into your address bar and you'll find my website, and right there will be my shop. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. Yes? Okay, so now what am I going to do? I'm going to show you the spread. We'll talk about the spread very briefly, and then we'll break the spread into its two major component parts and read those parts together. Are you all ready? Friends, here's this week's response spread right now. Friends, aren't those intriguing decks? Now, if you've been here before, if you've followed along with my response video series, you probably have seen the oracle card, the deck from which the oracle card was drawn before. Yes, that deck is the Mildred Payne's Oracle of Enchantment, I think. Suddenly the name is getting confused in my brain, but I think that's correct. Anyways, there will be a link in the description box below if you want that deck. Yeah, Mildred Payne's Oracle of Enchantment, I think, is correct. And there are a few different versions. I've got the original sepia version. There are other versions, and sometimes one is sold out, but it will be reprinted later. You know how that goes, yeah? So I'll put a link in the description box below. Now, the three cards above from the Tarot deck, that's a very interesting deck. It's actually not a full Tarot. Now, a full Tarot has 78 cards, right? This deck has only 62 cards, which means it is missing it's missing the 2, 3, and 4, I believe. The 2, 3, and 4 of the Minor Arcana, yeah? It's called the Mitelli Tarocchini. Mitelli Tarocchini. It's from between 1660 and 1752, that 100-year range in Italy. I got this deck because it has the 4 Moors. So instead of the Popess, the Empress, the Emperor, and the Pope, all of those are replaced by 4 black Moors. So I wanted to have one deck that has the 4 Moors instead of the those 4 cards that I mentioned. Now, other decks replaced the Popess and the Pope with Jupiter and Juno, sometimes the Capitan and Bacchus, right? There are other decks that switch out parts for other beings, yeah, depending on the time and the place the deck was created, because there are times when society was, the society or the church or both were uncomfortable with having popes and popesses or even emperors and empresses represented in their decks, right? So here we have this wonderful tarocchini, and this was first. Well, my deck was produced by the Cartomancer at Big Cartel. She has some wonderful, wonderful decks. The cardstock is wonderful. They're easy to shuffle. They're durable. fabulous decks. And so I'll put a link to this deck at her shop, but I also recommend looking at the other decks at her shop. She's got a wonderful Lenormand deck. She's got a couple of Lenormand decks there as well. Fabulous, fabulous card producer. Just saying. So her site will be, I can speak English. The link for her site will be in the description box below. Okay? Okay. So friends, we looked at that spread. This is a 3-card spread with 1 oracle beneath. So we'll look at the 3 cards first again, and then we'll look at the oracle card and read them. Okay? Okay, so friends, here are the 3 tarot cards again, right now. Friends, you just saw from left to right were the Chariot, Justice, and the 10 of Swords. Now, did you recognize those cards? They look different, right? They look very different. For example, the Chariot doesn't look anything like the Terre de Marseille Chariot, which has the prince-like figure inside of the chariot with 2 sphinxes, or 2 horses, I should say, in front, right? We don't see anything pulling this chariot. And the figure in the chariot is not a male, but a female form. Did you notice that it was the Justice card? Now, in this card, we don't see the Lady Justice figure seated on a throne or a bench with the sword held up and the scales over one of her knees. Here, Justice is standing with one breast revealed. So these cards are very different. The Justice card is numbered as we would expect. It's numbered 8, right? The Chariot is numbered 6 in this deck instead of 7. Right? So in this, if this were a traditional Terre de Marseille, the Chariot card and the Justice card would follow, well, the Justice card would follow the Chariot card. But here, in this deck, there's a card in between the Chariot and the Justice card, and I've forgotten which card that is, honestly. So, the Major Arcana is renumbered a little bit. They're all very interesting. And yet, it reads very Terre de Marseille to me. And then we have the 10 of Swords, which are arranged in a very Spanish-Italian way. Yes? So, what are we going to do? We're going to start off with this Chariot card. This beautiful card. This woman sitting inside of her chariot, looking a little bit like a celestial being, doesn't she? And still the Chariot is what? The Chariot is action in the world. It could be victory, successful undertakings, clarity, direction. A chariot is a vehicle, so it could be going on a journey. It could be the harmony of anima and animus within the harmony of self, right? Of aspects of self. And here, she does seem to be holding strings in her hand. You see that? In this hand, here where my finger is, there are 2 strings. And those 2 strings go down to what look like 2 doves. Right? So instead of her chariot, being pulled by horses or sphinxes, her hand is holding 2 birds which remind me of Venus. Yeah? The dove is a symbol of Venus. She is perhaps a very Venusian figure. So maybe there's an idea of harmony, of beauty as well here with the Chariot. So this is the card that we begin with, because she's looking to your perspective, she's looking to the left. She's looking to the right at Justice, who is also looking to the right at the 10 of Swords. So we're reading these cards in that direction. So we begin with that, with our feelings of victory, of success, of clarity, that we're on a journey. And it's a beautiful journey, right? Venus, yeah? A beautiful journey of harmony and arts and love and good relationships. We're on this journey. And remember, if you saw the larger spread this week, the Chariot card from the Smith-Waite deck was in the same spot in that spread. Now that Chariot was looking at the Page of Cups, but this Chariot is looking at the Justice card. This Justice is again standing with one foot up on a stone. The scales look out of balance here as well, right? One scale looks higher than the other. The sword, rather than pointing up, is pointing down towards the earth. But still, we've got the idea of harmony. Remember I was talking about Venus, harmony, yeah? Harmony, balance, maturity, perfection. Also perhaps the feminine protection, right? It could be legal actions and judging things, which was important for this week's spread, that we were asked to go in and investigate with an open mind. So we want to move forward with the Chariot to do a little bit of that investigation here, right? We want to have our fully developed consciences, not consciousness, but consciences, engaged. We want to think rationally. We want to reason by rules and norms that are true for us, not true for other people, but true for us, our rules, our norms for living a good, ethical, moral life, whatever that means to us. We want to have those engaged, and we want to have our consciences activated as we investigate and find the truth. We find justice for ourselves. Also, reaching for moving in the direction of harmony and balance and maturity and even perfection, even that. So, what is she looking at? She's looking at the Ten of Swords. The Ten of Swords. Now, tens are the ending of their suit and their preparation for the beginning of the new cycle. And you'll notice that all of these swords are bound by a red ribbon. So they're not out and ready to be used. They're hung on a wall somewhere. So this Ten of Swords could be agreements. Yeah, the swords have been put away. Agreements. Compromises, perhaps. But also a completion of our studies. We want to move in the direction of completion of what we're studying so that we can be able to move into putting those studies into action, I believe. We want to also expand our perspective. That was indicated in the Tower card, I believe, in the larger spread of this week. We want to expand our perspective. We want our thoughts no longer to be prisoners of ourselves. We want our thoughts to move out into the world, to create. Our true thoughts, not our negative thoughts, not our fearful thoughts, but our true thoughts from the hearts, from our heart, to move out into the world to create. We want to allow some affectivity to infuse our mental lives as well. We want to infuse our thoughts with our love, with our joy, yeah, with our sense of well-being. And we want, again, intellectual maturity. Just as we had maturity in the Justice card, we want intellectual maturity and harmony of heart and head. Harmony of the Justice card is more specific here between the mind and the heart, as the mind and the heart are mutually influencing each other. Yeah, we want to have a complete picture of reality. But we don't want it to be a cold, rational one or a purely emotionally reactive one, but one that is infused with both mind and heart in harmony, working together, communicating with each other. Which is basically living an intentional life, right? As we move forward, as we expand our thought and allow our thought to create in the world for us and with us. And activate our mental life with our emotions. So we've moved from our willpower, our sense of victory, into justice, balance, beauty, and we move all of that as we bring heart and mind together and allow that emotion-infused thought to expand out into the world as we get a larger, broader perspective, and our thoughts create for us in the world. Does that make sense? I hope it does. If it does make sense, let me know in the comments below. Do you see how this is a good response to the larger spread of the week? If you do, also let me know in the comments below. If you don't, let me know. Let's talk about that, because I think this does work. I think it works. And we've got an oracle card to take a look at, right? So friends, let's take a look at that oracle card right now. So friends, this oracle card is a little odd. I was surprised that this was the response to this week's spread. What do we see in this card? We see what looks like a skeleton kind of creature on a hill or a mountain, right? No, I'm sorry, not a cliff, I should say, right? There's this creature with a black cat. I love black cats. I dislike the way that black cats are used so often as symbols of dark magic. I think black cats are the most loving creatures known to me. But anyway, so black cat, creature on a ledge, hand pointing out towards the castle, right, which is on fire. And we see above it what looks like some kind of flying creature, and I assume it's a dragon. But according to the creator of this deck, Patrick Valenza, again, the link will be in the description box below. This is the harbinger of death, returning to its master after unleashing destruction upon the city. I guess it's a city. It looks like a castle to me, but I guess it's a city. And so what is that telling us? Who are we, I think, is the first thing we want to ask ourselves. Are we the people living in the city, or are we the being standing on the cliff with his, her there, familiar, with the hand pointed out? And I think for us in this spread, we are the creature. And the thing flying in the air is our pet, our helper, right? So the meaning in light for the creator for this card is the return of a loved one after an ordeal, the safe recovery of something once lost. So maybe this flying creature had been trapped in the city or in the castle, or perhaps we had sent this lovely creature out to the city or the castle to do this dangerous work of setting it on fire, and now it's finally coming back and we are relieved, we're happy. Yeah? So what is this telling us as far as this spread goes? So as we use our willpower, as we move forward on our journeys of our intentional lives, as we find harmony of aspects of self and we move forward in the world with justice, with harmony, with beauty, with clarity of mind, with our developed consciences, and we move into a space of, or we move towards a space of the union of mind and heart, emotional, as for example, love and joy infused thought, which we allow to move out into the world. We recognize a kind of homecoming, right? We recognize a returning to ourselves. And maybe we are both the creature, both of these creatures. Maybe we're both the flying creature and the creature pointing towards, either pointing towards the city or maybe holding a finger up so that the flying creature can land. I hadn't thought of that until now. Now maybe this finger is not pointing towards the city or the castle, but is being raised so that the flying creature can have a place to land. So yeah, a coming home to self. That loved one that's returning could be ourselves, returning to ourselves, yes? That the safe recovery of that which has been lost is the recovery of our joyful selves, of our, in the previous spread of the week, our inner page of cups. Does that make sense? I hope so. I think that's what this card is talking about, a return to self. Oh. We might have just landed on a title here, a return to self. Because as we do the work of the chariot moving through justice to the Ten of Swords, that is a recovery of ourselves, right? That's who we were born to be in this world, I believe. Right? The unified self, lovingly, joyfully expanding thought out into the world to create. That's a return to self, yes? Yes, that is now the title for this video. If you like the title, let me know in the comments below. If you do not like the title, let me know in the comments below. What would you name this video? What title would you give to this video? I'd love to hear it. And friends, by now we might have had a name change for the channel. I'm not sure. I've had a poll in the community tab. Hopefully you've already seen it and you have done that thing. You have voted. And so by now perhaps the poll has been calculated and the name has been changed. We'll see. I got some advice. Well, there was a video about this. And so hopefully you've already seen that video and you voted in the poll. And that you like the name that we have landed upon. So friends, here we are at the end. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you for joining me on this journey. Thank you for being here. And now, as always, I wish you love, joy, well-being, and pure awareness. Thank you.